Brought to you by Bic Flex Hybrid. NBA All-Star Weekend began last night in Chicago. The Rising Stars Challenge featuring the league's rookie and second-year players. And former Spartan Miles Bridges takes the MVP honors, putting up 20 points, 8 of 12 shooting. Akron defeating Central Michigan last night, 80-67. Unranked Michigan State at home to Big Ten leader and number 9 Maryland at the Breslin Center tonight, 6 p.m. Maryland riding a 7-game winning streak. Spartans stopped the 3-game slide, winning at Illinois on Tuesday. Michigan basketball tomorrow at 1 p.m. at home against Indiana. Hear that one at AM 950 WWJ. On the PGA Tour out in L.A., they're playing the Genesis Invitational. Matt Kuchar, leader by 2 at the midway point. 2 better than Harold Varner III, Rory McIlroy, and Wyndham Clark. Tiger Woods is among a group that barely makes the cut a level par. That group includes Brooks Koepka and Jordan Spieth. Meanwhile, lefty Phil Mickelson, Bubba Watson, Jason Day, Justin Thomas, and Francesco Molinari all missing the cut. At the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Jeff Lesson. For more, 97.1 The Ticket or radio.com.
Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I'm your host, Harvey Freed. Alongside of me, my co-host, Lisa Lawson.
Morning. How are you?
Fantastic, Lisa. You said you're under weather. You look great. You feel great. You don't feel so good. Is that the deal?
I'm a little congested, so I apologize in advance.
Well, since she's the master of all mortgage knowledge and everything, you'll get through the hour with us.
Absolutely.
Want to thank everyone for joining us here. We brought in a great team. Of course, we got Kevin Stewart and Jessica Zielke from Stewart Partners Real Estate. What?
Stewart Team Real Estate Partners. You've done so good the last 6 months. You've done so well.
Real Estate Partners.
And today, I don't know. It's the 3-piece suit. It's got you thrown off. You came in a 3-piece suit, looking fancy, and forgot how to talk.
I can't speak anymore. But thank you for bringing in. Of course, you bring in Jim Palazois from Wolverine Building and Custom Fine Homes Development. You guys are building projects all over the place. I know you got a really great project that you guys have been working on. A whole bunch of lots left. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
All right. I know you've listened a few different times here. It's really simple, Jim. We just talk about mortgages and real estate. But, of course, you bring in a nice little touch when you start talking about new construction. So we're excited to have you here. There's so many opportunities out there. Tell us a little bit about, as you have been building over the last few years, is there vacant land? Do we see a lot of permits being filled? What does this look like coming into 2020 in the new construction world?
Well, I think there's a lot of inventory that's going to be coming online from new construction builders, new developments that are breaking ground as we speak around the communities we develop in. And it's an exciting time to be in the business.
Yeah, all different price range. Where do you guys generally start? Where's your low, and the high is endless, but where's your starting point for some of the projects you're working on?
The condo communities are in the low 400s.
Okay.
And our single-family home community in the Rochester area is in the mid 700s.
Okay, that's a really gorgeous subdivision. Those are all custom homes, and
correct.
Get in there and you can have an opportunity to still pick out a couple lots. I know one of the subdivisions we were talking about, Kevin, had a few still vacant lots left, and now it's a great time to get in before we start getting all that competition in the springtime.
And I'll tell you what, the one that we have, Sanctuary at River's Edge in Rochester, fantastic community. It's a 20 home subdivision, and we actually are down to 3.
Wow.
3 lots left. So they're not going to be around much longer. I think by the time it warms up and we get a little heat in Michigan, we're not going to have anything left. We're just going to be working on the construction phase and getting homes built.
Well, existing homes that are out there in the marketplace need work. If you buy a new construction home, you know what you're getting right from the start. And, of course, you get to pick out everything, your colors, the style of the home, everything that's involved in the home, the style of the roof, the exteriors, interiors, basements, all of these things that are great. But there's still opportunities out there in the existing home marketplace. But I think that's the key, is having professional real estate agents. When you sit down, you work with a lot of buyers too, Jess. When you sit down with these buyers, that's something they really have to weigh out. Do they want to be in an older existing home that might need a lot of work, or maybe the home's only 5 or 10 years, or do you just want to start fresh and maybe see if you could get into a new construction home?
Right, which is great with.
Let me get that mic up. There you go. No, he's going to turn it off. There you go. You're good.
It's great with people like Jim, partnering with people like Jim, that we have these opportunities.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them out there still.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's hard if you're first-time home buyers. They're not looking at new construction most likely because they're usually in that price range of 150 lease to maybe 300,000.
350.
So yeah, the cost of construction, Jim, that's really what's happened over the last few years. Thank goodness for these low mortgage interest rates. I'll tell you, that's been the
Thank
key.
God I built 13 years ago, because that doesn't sound like I could afford it now. No.
Well, that's just it. The prices of the materials and the
everything
labor,
goes up.
has that been your biggest challenge over the last few years?
It is, and certainly locating trades that you can consistently rely on.
Right.
That's the challenge.
Especially on a higher end home, you need really skilled trades, right?
For sure.
Right.
And even on the condos too, we want to deliver a quality product, and you just can't hire anybody off the street to execute.
I was fortunate enough to build a couple of new construction homes. We were just talking about a few of them. So I built a spec home. Well, that was with the builder, but I did one on my own once. And there's no doubt the quality of the home is based on those guys, those drywall guys, those great hardwood floor finishers, the people that take pride in insulating the house properly or putting the roof on and all those things. That's truly where it all lies to me. I've gone through it a few times. That's the only thing that ever mattered to me. It wasn't with the fancy colors as much as that the bones of the house, that they were really building a great
I know
product.
when I built my house, I literally, and I tell people to do the same, if you really think about building, I started thinking about it at least a year in advance, and I started keeping a little note sheet, and anything I thought of, I would add, like I wanted outlets put under my eaves so I didn't have to have extension cords everywhere at Christmas time. And you just start all these little lists, and you get to build your exact dream home exactly how you want it, with every little thing you ever wanted.
Right.
So for me, it was a great process. Like I said, I started thinking about it a good year and a half in advance. I had this huge list. I went to, when we did build, I said, this is all the things I want. This is my bucket list. I'm not willing to waver, but you also have to be willing to, understand that may cost a little bit more to get all those little things. But it was a great experience for us, especially if you're looking for something custom. Everybody wants something unique to them. Even when you buy a home that you're going to, eventually remodel, and you gut it and you make it yours. This is an opportunity to make it yours from the very get-go.
It's really easy now, too. Nowadays, Kevin, as you know, when professionals sit down with you, Jess, you can go to the builder's office. You can sit down. They have places where you can go. They have their own trades where you can, or the own material places for tile and things like that. Sure. You can pick up. To me, it's not stressful at all. In fact, it's just a fun and enjoyable experience. And if you're fortunate enough that you can afford something like this, why not? And go for it. But it leads me to another question: is how is the inventory looking in Rochester Hills and in these areas? Because as the inventory short, you see these prices just start creeping up again and again. 6.6%, generally in our area, appreciation. You got to get in there and buy a house soon before you can't afford it anymore.
Yeah, and we're seeing that already. I think that the inventories continued to stay low this year, and over the wintertime has stayed low. And I think that that's going to cause prices to tick up as we get towards warm weather. Right,
for sure. And I'm sure, Harvey, you hear the same thing. I've had people looking for a home for months, right? And then they can't find anything, and they finally like, we're going to build, because they can't find anything. They've been looking for 6 months, 8 months. They're frustrated. They're like, we can't find what we want, or we can't find even something that we can convert to something that we want. So they start looking at builders. So I'm assuming that's got to make you guys busier.
We have a lot of people that convert to new construction for that very reason.
Yeah, right.
It is because if you can't find inventory, go create some.
Right,
and
exactly.
That's the beauty of the new construction world, is we can actually create inventory. We can create that exact product that you're looking for. With a builder like Jim, we can actually put together a plan, put together a location, and plug and play exactly what you want, which is really, really cool.
I want to kind of dispel some common misconceptions, I think, about new construction, because some people think that no matter what, when you build new construction, you have to have gobs and gobs and gobs of cash to get started.
Yeah, absolutely right.
So I have people say all the time, I can't do new construction. I don't have 50% down. I don't have the money to dig the basement. Can we dispel some of those myths? Because you guys work with all types of financing, right? For the most part? Right.
Oh, yeah.
So when someone says, I need a construction loan, we need draws, is that the type of loan that you guys do, or do you guys do end loans? And then Harvey and I'll probably explain what that means.
Well, actually, Jim, you mentioned some of those heavy-duty projects. Yeah, you're looking $500,000 plus. Some of the projects that you guys are working on, you want them to go ahead and set up their own construction financing.
Correct. Some buyers are cash buyers, and they'll do stage payments. Other buyers require a construction mortgage. So we're pretty flexible, and Kevin's able to kind of connect us with the right people to execute.
And the construction loans are great products, and we have some people that will do construction loans, and then they will actually refi into an in loan.
Right.
We'll have people do that, because usually that in loan a lot of times is a lower rate. It's better for the long-term financial picture. The new construction loan isn't necessarily the long-term product, but it's the product that helps them get the home built without pulling a ton of cash out of their pocket.
Right.
And some people are able to do the cash. We've even had people that will do cash and then they'll get an in loan after, essentially pay themselves back
Right.
From the amount that they do along the way. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. And you're right. Somebody doesn't have to have all the money sitting in their pocket to buy
Right.
a house.
And people have this idea that that's the case. So they don't even entertain it as an option. And I want people to understand that there's so many options out there. And
It's a lot of fun, too, to build this new construction.
Absolutely.
Options. You're picking your options. You got options on financing the project and everything else involved in new construction. 248-539-9797. We're going to continue this conversation all morning long here, talking about new construction, some home buying opportunities, and, of course, on the listing side. Because if you're going to build a house, it's all about the timing. So, Jim, most of these homes do take, between 12 months and 16 months, I'm guessing. Is that about the time frame on most?
Correct.
And again, if you have an existing house to sell and you need those funds, then you got to get with Kevin and he can tell you all about timing and stuff. When we come back after the break, Kev, let's talk about that a little bit. It's all about timing in this world, making sure you get your house sold so you have the funds to close on the next house. 248-539-9797. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. It is a snowy Saturday, but I don't mind it as long as you're driving safe. I like to snowboard, so I'm hopefully going to be hitting the slopes here maybe over the weekend. We got a lot going on. A common thing right now is if you see a home that you like, do not hesitate. If you are looking to purchase, if you're looking to refinance, lock your rate in. You do not want to be caught looking because they are going to change at any point in time. We're first week in February. We got, W-2s coming in. It's tax time. Something that I think is important to touch on for you self-employed borrowers. Yes, we know you make $200,000 gross. That's great. But when you do your taxes because you tax yourself, we're not looking at what you gross. We're looking at what you net. After all your deductions, after you pay whoever you're going to pay, we're looking at your net. So what that means is if you're making $200,000 and you wrote off, you had a bunch of write-offs, and now really after your depreciations and things like that, you're left at $30,000. Well, guess what? That's what we're going after. That's what we're looking at as far as what you're going to qualify. So that affects your buying power. So give us a call right now so that way we can look at your financial spectrum from the start to the finish. Because if we have to take your 17 and 18 and right now that average doesn't work, well, maybe we need to talk about what you need to show as far as documented income for 2019.
Right. Do everything up on the up and up the right way.
Yes.
But yes, there's ways that we can, and there are things that we can add back that you do write off, and there are things that we have to take as a deduction. So, but that's walking us through. We have clients that call us right before they're looking to buy, 4, 5, 6 months before, saying, okay, getting ready to do my taxes. What kind of income should I be showing to make sure is what I did last year going to be okay? Should I show a little bit more? Is it okay if I write off a little bit less? And we run that analysis for them because we want to put them in a position to succeed, not fail.
Right.
So
exactly.
based on our last caller, I got a text that's right here. Thanks, Frank, for texting me. Basically, what a texter's texting me is, hey, listen, buy in the wintertime. Buy in the wintertime. Because people think, whether it's true or not, that you're going to get a better deal in the wintertime. There's less competition, and everybody's going to be selling their house in the summertime.
Yep, exactly.
So buy in the winter. My position is buy when you can buy when you're ready to buy, and if you can pull the trigger now, because
Yes.
A, rates are great. If you see the house that you want, buy it now.
As you got to
Thanks
think,
for the text,
as a
appreciate it.
buyer, you got to remember, every seller thinks, not every seller, but a lot of sellers think the same thing. It's spring, so I got to add another 5% or 1% or 2% because it's spring, because there's flowers outside. They're going to want more money. And buying now is I mean, it's a great time. The wintertime, definitely.
Yeah, do yourself a favor. Do not hesitate as far as if you're looking, like I said, if you're looking to buy, refinance, like I can't stress it enough because right now the economic conditions are very favorable for interest rates right now. And it's just adding to more buying power, which is also increasing the
All right, welcome back to the show. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Again, we are brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We're powered by Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation, NMLS 2289. And, of course, you can always call on the show here, 248-539-9797. We talk about if you're buying a house, if you're thinking about selling a house. Kevin, before we went off to the break, we talked about timing, and timing's everything, especially new construction. You got to sort of figure out, like, the time on the market. That's probably the most important thing. Getting with your agent and starting to talk about these real serious conversations. If your agent's not up for that conversation, you got to move on.
Yeah, you've got to find a new agent that can have that conversation. Building the plan is really, really important. That's important no matter what. I mean, if you're just going to, if you're going to buy a home that's already existing, you need a plan. If you're going to build a new construction home, you need a plan. But the timing, the on-market timing that you do across the board for that listing becomes extremely important, especially in the new construction world. You got to get a real feel for the timeline from the builder, and talk through the potential nuances of that. For example, with the products that we're doing, we tell people 12 to 18 months by the time we put the shovel in the ground. But that depends on how quickly do we design your house? How fast do you make your decisions?
How bad is the winter?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into that. And
how much rain are we going to get that year?
So we have to give them a big range. And so sometimes if they're wanting to make a singular transition move, we have to put together a plan A, B, and sometimes a plan C for what they're going to do to sell their current home.
Right.
Those factors really, really come into play. And so sitting down really early with your agent, it becomes very important to put that plan together.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought all that stuff up. Timing's everything. You said plan A, B, and C, and I like that because
and communication. Because when you're going through these plans, like you said, things change. Every intent might be we're going to try to do this in 14 months, but things happen. And you have to always be in communication, make sure everybody's on the same page. And I don't always have to be a little bit flexible, but sometimes your best intent changes a little, and everyone's got to be on the same page with the same information doing.
Right.
And people don't realize how much coordination it takes
Correct.
to build a home. It takes a lot of coordination,
Right.
and things have to happen in a certain step, and during those steps, you have to make decisions as a buyer, right? You have to make the decisions for what do you want here, what do you want there, not just where do you want your walls to be, but what products do you want inside? And if you can't make those decisions in a timely fashion, it can really, really change the timeline, right? I mean, a lot of the products that we've had that have really extended out their timeline really is due a lot of times to just buyer decisions.
Yeah, you can't. You gotta know what your next move is for sure. And that's the thing with custom homes, Jim. I mean, anyone could build a basic home and you're not moving any walls. I mean, that's not a custom home. What you guys do is you're sitting down with the families, and if they need to bump out that kitchen a few feet, you can move some walls. So you have in-house architects and all those type of things that make it a custom home.
For sure. And what contributes to the delays are sometimes the husband and wife can't agree on certain, selections.
How dare you say that after Valentine's Day?
But that's the reality.
Right.
It's the key is to make timely decisions to move the process along.
And we try to stay on top of them. We try to give them gentle and soft reminders, and then they have to become larger reminders later that, hey, we need your kitchen decision.
Right.
We need your cabinet decision, and those kind of things happen along the way, but we help try to manage through that and try to walk them through that and help them make those decisions, as well as protecting them, right, from themselves. They may, a lot of people haven't done this before. They haven't built a home before. And Jim and the guys at Wolverine, one of the things that I really like that they do is when they're sitting down and they're designing a home with somebody, they can help walk them through some of the decisions, say, hey guys, I know that you're not necessarily thinking from this standpoint, but I think that this bedroom should be over here for this flow purpose, and they're really good at saying, bringing up things, because the last thing we want is we hand you the keys to your home and you move in and go,
this isn't what we
wish we hadn't
wanted.
done that, right? And
Because
that's a really
sometimes the
bad
vision
thing
in
to do.
people's head doesn't
Yes.
equate to what it looks like on paper in real life. That 3D
Absolutely.
transition, I tell people, you might have this idea, but when you actually get there and live in this space, it's different, because people usually, I don't want to say think in 2D, but when they come to floor plans, they usually think in 2D, right? They're looking at my basements and this blocks, and they don't understand what the walls mean and how that equates to how they live.
I remember having to figure out which way the doors were going to swing, and I'm
Yep.
like, wait a minute
Something like
here.
that, yeah.
Wait a
Little
minute
things
here.
that you don't think about if you've never done this before,
Exactly.
if you aren't in a good team of experts that know what that 2 steps ahead looks like.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Little things like the location of your plugs.
Yeah,
Yep.
huge.
Right? I mean, it really is. Those are the little details that make
Recessed
a home
lighting in a
exceptional.
room. How many? What is the room going to feel like? Even down to it's gonna impact the colors that you're putting in,
Correct.
the textiles that you're putting in,
Yeah.
things that you don't think about.
Yeah, those are all great things. You know what? Let's see if we can move off to a call here. Are you going to be on the board over there? Hey, there you go. Let's go off to Jeff. Value of this home, sell or not? Hey, Jeff, calling in from Shelby. What's going on? Jeff, you there? Is he coming on? I can't hear him. All right, there's no Jeff there. All right, let's put him back on hold, and we'll go from there. Hey, you guys, we were just going to go into some of the things I was dealing with the professionals on the little things that can pop up in a transaction. Home buying, don't guess, find out, call the professionals. We just brought up a couple small things on transaction because a lot of times people don't realize that even though this is new construction, even you have to put X amount of money down, maybe with the builder, you can still get a mortgage for 5%, 3% on any of these homes. It's available for anybody out there. Of course, the conforming loan limits, Lisa, $510,400. That gets you into a lot of different homes in Michigan. And of course, first-time home buyers, the national average for first-time home buyers nationwide was $233,800. So again, as we were talking before, that $300,000 is getting closer and closer, even for first-time home buyers.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think people understand, hopefully if they're coming to the point where they're building a home, this is something that they really want. Usually, I'm not saying people never build their very first home, but usually you've lived somewhere else. You've kind of, like I said, kept that checklist. These are the things I want. These are the things I don't. This is what's important to me. This is what's important to my family. And you've decided that you want to, encompass it all and build something. So usually at that point, I want to say that they've owned something previously. Usually don't go from renting to custom build, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you probably don't see that very often.
Not very often.
Right.
rare.
So, but it's because they have come to the realization that everything they want isn't out there the way, that they can just, walk in or turnkey, that they're going to have to build it themselves. So
For sure. All right, let's go off to Jeff now. Again, I got Jeff back on the line. Hey, Jeff, calling in from Shelby. There you are.
Yeah, good morning. It's a pleasure to speak with you folks.
Well, thanks for calling in. What's your question?
Well, my question is this. Now, I'm 60 years old. I've got a home that's paid for in full in Oxford. I'm currently living in a condo with my new wife in Shelby.
Okay.
And now we're looking down the road to probably build a new condo. My question really has to do with my house in Oxford in terms of an investment. Does it make sense to sell it? Put the money in the market, which I've done pretty well in the market, or does it make sense to hang on to it? And will the value, the increase in value as a home outdo what the market will do?
That's a great question.
Yeah,
What are you
that's an
thinking
awesome
there, Kev?
question, Jeff. So it's
is he renting it? Are you getting income from it now?
That was the first thing I was going to ask.
I am. My daughter and my youngest daughter and a friend of hers pay me rent while they're going to college.
Okay.
So I'm getting some. I'm not getting what I would if I had rented out to a family. So
Yeah. So this is the thing. This is the thing is when you have a property like that and you want to make it income bearing, you want to maximize your rents in some way, shape, or form. If you're not doing that, in all likelihood, it's probably best to sell that property. Having multiple properties inside your quote unquote portfolio of real estate is not a bad thing to do. We work with a lot of investors. We work with a lot of people that own a lot of houses and can make really, really good money on them. So it depends on if you want to be a long-term landlord or do you want something a little more passive? Are you wanting to have that passive, investment stream where you can take that money and, like you said, put it in the market because you can earn really good money on that money right now. So, it's a little bit of a needs analysis. We'd be happy to come out and take a look at that home for you, give you some opinions on the value and take a look at it and analyze it from a rent or sell perspective and then give you some advice on what we think you should do with it.
Hey, Jeff, I've got two daughters myself. So as you mentioned, one of your daughters is living there. Maybe one of her friends is living there. But if you did sell it, maybe you'd have to figure out those dollars too. What would it cost you to have her maybe rent somewhere else while she's going to college and still moving on with her life? Are you better off, and I like that, Kev, are you better off taking that chunk of money and investing it? Can it do well for you? Could you put it away safely? Obviously, the markets change. Real estate could sink again, but fairly unlikely as the markets have changed and how we've changed the mortgage industry over the last 10 years. So a lot to think about, but what that house would sell for in today's market is probably the number one thing to know.
Yeah.
Exactly, and I would really appreciate it, for experts to come out and counsel me on this because those are the questions I'm asking myself, and I simply just don't know the answer yet.
I love the call, Jeff. We're going to have definitely Kevin will follow up with you right after the show today and start giving you some knowledge on what's going on in the marketplace. Thank you. It's a great call. Fantastic.
Yeah,
thanks,
Jeff. I'll be giving you a call after, and we can schedule a time to go through that. So thanks for calling in.
That's great
awesome
stuff. 248-539-9797. Love an intelligent call to start some things off. So here's a 60-year-old guy. He's got 2 or 3 homes. He's had some houses in the past. He's got a family. He's asking the smart questions. How come I got brand new buyers telling me that they know it all? Or they're meeting. What's going on here?
Didn't you know buyers know everything?
Okay. All right. So anyways, definitely we want to, that's why we say get these professional people involved. I think experience, I had that conversation with an agent 2 years ago. He said, Harvey, I'm sick of you old timers telling us, or, I'm 53, I'm an old timer now, and telling us, oh, you've been in the business for 30 years. I got this and that. He said, I would rather change your, 25 years of experience for 5 minutes of your time. And he was referring to a listing agent who was an old timer who couldn't even make the phone call back to him to give him feedback on an offer. So I think experience does bring a lot to the table, but yes, you got to be Johnny on the spot. Time is of the essence. And especially in real estate, Jess, you've got buyers. If they want to make an offer, they've got to be ready to go.
Ready. Yes. We can't wait a day, even in this season. That's not going to play a part in this marketplace.
All right. There's so many people that are pre-approved out there. We're going to come back and talk about real approval letters when we come back. 248-539-9797. Keep it here.
Hey, welcome back. You're listening to the Hardcore Mortgage Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. And I just want to point out that Capital Mortgage Funding is powered by Fairway, MLS number 2289. We are an equal housing lender. We want to hear from you, 248-539-9797. If you're hitting us on Facebook Live right now, or you're driving on the roads right now, make sure you're being careful. I know that the snow really started coming down.
The roads are kind of like slow.
That was the best.
Careful driving.
That was the best mix-up that Becky's ever had. If you're driving on the slow, what she meant to say is, if you don't know how to drive and you're out there taking up every lane because you see a couple flakes, get off the road.
Yeah, it's slickery out there.
696 is not for 30-mile-an-hour drivers.
Yes.
No. Yeah, like literally, like I was probably maybe 10, 15 minutes away from here, and it started getting a little thicker, and then all of a sudden, it's like everyone forgot where the lanes were, even though you still could see the lanes, getting wide, a little wide on their turns, but it's coming down pretty heavy out there, so make sure you're careful. And again, like I said, we want to hear from you, 248-539-9797. A couple things we want to get into as well. We were talking about pre-approvals, when you want to start the process as soon as possible. If you have questions about your credit, make sure you call us, because here's another thing. Right now, because there is a low inventory, which means that people that I pre-approved 6 months ago probably have not found their dream home yet. So what we like to do is we circle back, because a pre-approval is generally only good for 120 days or the length of your credit report. So that's kind of how it goes. So when your credit report expires, that's when your pre-approval is up, right? So I've had a couple of people come back up to me where we're circling back, and it's time to, hey, it's been over 4 months. Are you still actively looking? Let's refresh everything. And in those situations, we've refreshed it, and their scores have dramatically changed because they were not keeping status quo. Well, now they're they found their homes, they're narrowed down, and now what that happens is we now have to work backwards. So we now have someone that has below a FICO score where they don't maybe qualify for conventional. I actually just had one. I have one on my desk right now. It's a higher price point. We have to go conventional. FHA is not an option. And, so we looked at the credit immediately. We identified those problems, and they were reluctant to, or luckily they had the means to actually address these things. We got the score back up so that way we can now pursue, and they can actually close on their home within the next 30 days or so. So credit is everything, and timing is everything. And the sooner you start the process, if you're looking to buy, even if it's a year out, let's get a game plan. We are overly experienced in here. Noah Hyman's a great agent. So give us a call, 248-539-9797. Another topic that comes up quite a bit when buying and selling is people, well, can I buy and sell simultaneously, right? Mm-hmm. So you hear us say the word contingencies, and that's when you're trying to buy a house and sell at the same time. And John kind of, touched on that a little bit. When someone is putting an offer on a home, and let's just say my offer is going to be contingent on me selling my existing home. Are we seeing at a point right now where people are shying away from that? Because I like it right now on your side.
No, there's not a lot of that I've seen, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Have I participated in those in the past? Absolutely. Most recent was about a year ago. You know, there are pros and cons, like with anything, buying and selling real estate, or really anything in life for that matter. You know, the pro can be that the seller of the property typically.
All right, welcome back to the show, 9:29. If you're just joining us,
you know,
not too
have their
chilly
buy,
outside today, and the roads are dry. Is it? At least you're over there going. Brr.
Not too
freezing.
chilly.
I was like,
Yeah,
what are you
it's
talking about?
It's cold. This
I'm the one
feels
who
like
was-
winter now.
I was the one in 85-degree weather
I
last
thought
week.
you'd
guys.
be freezing. Yeah, I
I
was
just
freezing.
now can feel my toes.
Yeah.
This entire morning, I can't
I
feel
still
my
don't
feet.
feel my feet, and my nose is
waiting
probably still
for
pink and
something
cold.
else
Well, we're going to talk
happen
about
that
mortgages
you're
and
not
real
able
estate
to
for another
control.
30 minutes here. Keep it on 97.1
there's
The
a
Ticket. We
promise
got
to
sports
maybe
coming up, of
if
course, after
possibly
us. We got
if
Pat
something else
Caputo
happens.
coming. We've got 1 o'clock
Which,
Detroit Red Wing
there's
hockey
no
with
guarantees of
Paul
anything.
Woods
There's
and
no
Ken
guarantees
Kale.
of
I
anything.
love
Have
listening to those
something
guys on the
and
radio.
they
Make
don't
it
have
fun
any
and,
contingencies.
of course, keep it here all day long. Hey, always want to talk about refinancing real quick. Of course, we'll get into the purchasing business and selling and buying. But, of course, Lisa, as we know, mortgage rates, again, back to like these 2011
Yeah.
rates where they're all-time lows. Great opportunities. Hey, it helps you guys.
Oh,
It
yeah.
makes home ownership
Yeah.
affordable as we've been
Extremely affordable.
6.6% appreciation. Yeah, folks, the costs are going up. Homes aren't going down. So maybe get in there right now. Maybe you've got another 30 days of a window to purchase that house. But Lisa, let's talk a little bit about debt consolidation loans, just
Yeah.
real quick.
We've done quite a few.
Right after the holidays, people
Yeah.
are getting those bills.
They get their credit card bills, and we're like, oh, so then we get a phone call. It's a phenomenal thing. Debt consolidation can obviously pay off loans, pay off student loans, pay off credit card debt. You could take cash out, use home improvement. Doesn't always have to be debt consolidation. But I think I don't know if I shared with you last week, I had a woman planning on retiring soon, and she was trying to get things kind of settled so she'd be ready to retire and have her, know what her fixed income is. And we ended up saving her $1,205 a month. Debt consolidation pretty much took equity out of her house, paid off everything.
Yep.
And that's realized savings. That's including this slight increase in the new mortgage payment, minus all the debt. So this is the time to do it. The rates are phenomenal. I mean, like everyone's been saying, it's almost 2011 rates. You have the opportunity to either consolidate debt. Sometimes you can consolidate debt. All that savings then can get socked away. Maybe your goal is to move. Maybe your goal is to, upgrade soon, but you just can't seem to get there. The other thing we hear all the time is, I don't have quite that much equity, or I don't have a way to save, or, I'm ready to move. I can afford the monthly payment. I just can't afford the down payment.
Right.
We hear that all the time. So sometimes debt consolidation can help with that. It might be that you do it now, so you'll be ready next year.
Yep.
But this is the time to have these conversations. Rates are really low. We need to take advantage of it if that's what you're interested in doing.
If home ownership's around the corner too, and
Yeah.
we see this so often, don't go out and buy that car quite yet. It could affect your debt to income ratio. So you can buy a car anytime. It doesn't matter if you're buried in debt. The car dealerships around here will definitely give you a new car.
Right.
God bless them. I love that. That's
A
okay.
double-digit interest rate.
And that's fine. Not always, but that's fine too. But yeah, don't do it if you're going to be buying a house, because you can't buy a house if you're too much debt. Of course, the debt to income ratio does fall into that. So get with the real professionals. Debt consolidation has been helping so many families. Not for everybody.
But
And
even if you don't need to consolidate debt, the rates are so low that we can do what we call a rate and term mortgage. It means either we shorten the term of the mortgage. You might be say you're in a 30-year mortgage and you're 5 years in, so you've got 25 years left. We can evaluate that. Sometimes we can get you into a 15 or a 20-year with a very similar payment because the rates are so low. Now you're building equity faster, which means when you are ready to sell, you're going to have gobs and gobs of equity, or we call, net proceeds when you sell, to put down on your new house. So it's not always about taking out debt. Sometimes it's about planning for your future. And there's a lot of different ways that we can accomplish that.
Yeah, I'll take $1 for every time we say planning this morning. Kevin talked about planning A, B, and C, so I'm never going to forget that because, things do change.
Right.
And they change quickly, so you got to be prepared for them. All right, before the break, we talked about real pre-approval letters or approval letters.
So important.
Jess, you're working with buyers every day. These homes are flying off the marketplace.
Yes.
Even now, I'm already hearing, especially between 150 and 300, the homes, there's multiple offers already. So if you're thinking about buying a house, if you haven't given the mortgage person the documents, you are not pre-approved. Lisa, are we okay with that? Can I say that?
You may be pre-qualified.
Yeah,
That's
means
different. They're like, I have an approval letter. I said, no, it says you are pre-qualified. It's based on the verification of all your information. Once you provide all your information, if it doesn't match what this qualification was under the assumptions of, then no, it's a no-go. You know what I mean? So pre-approvals are so important. It is pretty much like cash in the bank. It means we've reviewed all your documentation. We got your tax returns. We reviewed your income. We had a discussion. Maybe you had a low year to date last year because you had to take 6 weeks off. You broke your leg. We are covering everything that an underwriter would look at. So we have no hiccups. When you give that approval letter to your agent makes that offer. It is good as gold.
There you go.
That's
You're
the
ready to
point.
go. And most
Yeah.
transactions, as you guys know, Kev, you're on the listing side a little bit more. Most of the time, the sellers are in a position where they're ready to go, but not always. So as we talked about earlier in the show, the timing again. Although we want our buyers to be prepared and ready to close in 30 days, sometimes a seller might need to hold off because their new construction home may not be done till May.
Yeah,
So,
there's a big picture that has to be looked at there, right? Like, when we're analyzing offers that come in on a home, we're not just looking at the price. It's price and terms. We're taking a good look at, you don't always know what the seller needs, and a great agent like Jessica is going to make that phone call to the listing agent and say, hey, what are the other terms that are important to the seller? What does your timeline look like? What do you need for occupancy? What are the types of pieces that we need to put in this contract to make it attractive for your seller? Because that's really, really important, because we don't know what the seller has coming down the road. Yeah, are they working on a new construction home that they need an extra couple of months in the home that they wanted to give themselves a listing buffer zone, right? They put it on the market. They didn't know what the market timeline was going to be, and hey, it sold fast. So if that's the case, they may need to have that, 30 to 60 day buffer post closing. So
that occupancy makes it that becomes a bigger conversation for the seller, which then we can leverage on behalf of, in my position, for the buyer and price.
Right.
And I just had that conversation late last night with a buyer after we got a counter. And I said, hey, the biggest thing to you guys is price, and the biggest thing to the seller is occupancy.
There you go.
So let's use this. I know that, so let's use this to and in the end, that's advantageous to everybody. The
Correct.
seller and the buyer, the agents, the lender, everyone.
yeah,
Correct.
win-win situations. If not everyone's a
100%.
winner, then something's not going to go real smooth in that transaction. That's awesome information here.
Everybody thinks they want a 30-day close, but that's not always the case.
100%.
Right.
But you have to understand, too, if you're a seller, the buyers might need to close because of a rate lock situation. Let's talk about that a little bit. We just want to get them locked in. And as a seller, look, you should have that comfortable feeling that you are closed on your house. The funds are in the bank, and that way you can move on in your next house whenever it's completed.
And that's where
or if you're
occupancy
looking,
comes in.
Yep.
A lot of times you just might be looking for a house. We have plenty, Kev, you see it often. People close on the homes. They're done. They got their money, and they got 60 days to go find a new one and close on it.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that could happen anytime.
And again, that's us putting together the timeline.
Yeah.
And knowing exactly what we're coming into with a seller, with a buyer, and what they're looking to do and how they're looking to do it. So, and like I said, I'll bring it up again, but that plan A, B, and C, the plan can change, right? Somebody could come in and make an offer on your home that's so good and so high in price that you say, hey,
Can't say no.
for that number, I'll
We're
get out of
packing
that.
right now.
Get
need
the boxes,
occupancy.
call the moving
I'm moving
truck,
in with
right?
you.
yeah, we'll figure it out. Come into your basement, Kevin.
Yeah.
Right? And so sometimes that happens, and we may have to pivot a little bit and change our plan or go to a different form of a plan.
Right.
All right, if you're just tuning in, we got Stewart Team Real Estate Partners, Kevin Stewart, Jessica Zielke in the office, and of course here, Jim Palazoy, Wolverine Building, custom developer of fine communities all over the Rochester area, Oxford, that whole area. Is that generally your region, or are you guys just open for anything that might make sense?
Rochester Hills and the surrounding communities is what we focus on.
Okay, great. Right up there in the northern Oakland County area and surrounding areas. Great schools. That's what we're known for here in Michigan. Really pretty up there. Of course, you got Oakland University and really adjacent to that area. We used to have the Palace of Auburn Hills there, but we have other fine things in the area, not only colleges and other venues, even the Pine Knob, the DT Music Theater. These are fine venues and golf courses. These are great places to live in the United States. Just beautiful.
For sure. You've got downtown Rochester. You have the trail system, the parks. It's a combination of a lot of great things.
Yeah, there's definitely a reason that they focused on new construction in the area, because
Great restaurants, walking distance, great walking community.
Everything.
Well, and
it's
the
got everything
sanctuary
you're looking
community
for.
is
beautiful.
absolutely gorgeous, and it does back right to the Clinton River trails. It's fantastic.
We've got a new one coming up that is actually it's gonna be small. 3 condos that are going to be in literally right next to the park in Rochester. It is going to be awesome. It's been kept fairly quiet. We have one sold already, right?
Yeah, we have one under reservation agreement, and we were going vertical now. It's a mixed-use building, 3 luxury townhomes in downtown Rochester by the entrance of the park.
Oh,
yeah, it's going to be incredible.
Awesome.
I mean, you want to talk about a real opportunity to live in a outstanding community.
Yeah.
That's
it.
That's it.
We have open lines here, 248-539-9797. We're going to go off to Dennis here calling in from, I think, Clinton Township. Hey, Dennis, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, guys, how are you doing?
Real good, Dan. You got a question about flooring. Go ahead.
Yes, I do. So I've been living in my house for about 5 years now. It's a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom ranch. Me and my wife just decided to get a bigger house, so we're looking to sell, and we have carpet throughout the entire house. And we were actually looking to replace it. We just found out there's original hardwood floors.
Oh, underneath?
Oh, when?
So I was just curious, what would your opinion be, and would all natural hardwood floors raise the value?
In a quick analysis of that, yes, it probably will. I can tell you that is a big feature. Jess can speak to that a lot as well. A lot of people swoon over that when they're walking through your home. It sounds like you've got a great property there to sell. We'd be happy to take a look at that for you and do a little bit of evaluation. But I can tell you on the quick, that's probably going to be something that's worth doing. And depending on the condition of those floors, when you pull it up, as long as you get the right company to come in and refinish them, that's very important.
Yeah, that's going to be key. That's going to be key, which we can help you through.
Yeah, we can help you through that. We've had some companies that we've worked with that have done a great job. We actually refinished hardwood floors in our office, and the company that did them did an absolutely incredible job. So
95% of my buyers are looking for hardy textiles. They are not looking for
wow.
carpet. 95%. And the reason why I say 95% is we have people that are downsizing that are older, and if they are snowbirds, they want warm flooring. But that's really only 5% of the buyers that I am working with. Otherwise, they want that clean textile. And really, I hate to kind of throw a negative spin on it, but it's because they don't know what was in that carpet. It makes them very, very nervous from like a cleanliness standpoint, which has been interesting over the last few years. But those hardy textiles, the hardwood.
And some people have allergies and there's fibers. You know what I mean? It's not even necessarily cleanliness. It doesn't matter. You say I vacuum every day. That's not really what it's about. You know what I mean? But those hardwood floors can really make a difference.
And you can say, Jim could tell you here from a new construction standpoint, that's one of the biggest upgrades that gets put into homes almost right away.
That's
right.
the first,
People
Jim.
come in and they immediately start talking about hardwoods.
Yeah, that's the main focus. People want hardwood floors throughout the entire house. That's where they're going to spend their upgrade money on.
Yeah.
You know,
say
Dennis, congratulations on finding that hardwood underneath the carpet.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Elise, you had something to say, but we'll go to the break.
Guys.
All right, thanks for the call, Dennis. We'll get in touch with you right after this break, or definitely after the show. Lise, it's a quick break here, 9:42 if you're just joining us. Come on back, 248-539-9797.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. I am Becky Alley, filling in for Harvey Freed, who hopefully is on a boat with his flippy floppy somewhere. Let's hope for that.
I hope he has a nice drink with some fruit and a straw and some flowers and umbrella in it. And he's coming back this week. But Beck, you're in charge. Good to be here with you.
Yes, and that
John
voice you're hearing
Kolb.
is Harry Glanz.
Oh, boy. John Kolb's here. Noel Heidemann, Realtor extraordinaire, is here. And Noel, talk to me. What's going on in the market? It is hot. We talked over the weekend or this past week.
On
Market's
Thursday,
hot.
Market is very hot. I hope Harvey is somewhere where it's not snowing.
He's in Jamaica, and he's having a great time. I can assure you that.
And it's awesome out.
You think he's listening?
I doubt he's listening.
I doubt he's listening.
But then again, never know.
Yeah, and it's like we got a lot to talk about. January's over. We're already in the first week of February, which I can't believe. Super Bowl just passed. I know a lot of people were talking about it. It was a great game. Halftime show seemed to be a big topic of conversation. J-Lo, Shakira, like all I know is half of America was judging them when they're performing. I was judging myself saying, okay, Shakira, your hips don't lie, and this extra layer on my hips ain't lying either. I need to go to the gym.
Well, I will say it was very entertaining. I liked it. The game was phenomenal. The whole thing, the whole spectacle, it's become a national, it's a holiday. They say people call in record numbers on Mondays not to come into work. Right, or you either come in late or you don't come in at all.
Well, why don't they move it to Saturday?
Yeah, they could.
I mean, I know it's a staple Super Bowl Sunday, but come on, it's got to be more profitable to have it on Saturday.
Well, and they got 2 weeks of build up too for the whole thing, so it's why wouldn't you do it on a Saturday?
It was a great game. I mean, the comeback kid, the Chiefs. I mean, they were really, really good for sure. So we got a lot to talk about. It's cold outside. It started snowing out of nowhere on our way in here. But one thing that is for sure is, like Harry was saying, the market is absolutely hot. There's some data out there that's kind of pointing to that we might see one of the biggest seller markets since 1982, which granted predictions can be off, but no, you're out there every day in the streets. It feels like it's springtime. You would not think that we have a couple inches of snow outside right now with the amount of traffic that you're seeing.
Yeah, definitely. Traffic is up. We still need, though, honestly, more listings. We really do. It just depends on what market you're in, but definitely. People are very excited about this year. Everything that we've seen in our, forecast have made it look like it's going to be a really good year for sellers, especially in 2020.
Like something like there's like a 3 year. So normally the last 2 years, there was like around a 3.5 to 4.5 month supply of inventory, right? So people out there selling their houses, and they're saying that this year it's going to be even lower, closer to around 3%.
Right. Depends on
or 3 months, I should say.
It's all broken up into graphics in regard to price range.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're under 200,000, then, the market's very, very good. If under 5 is pretty good too in regard to time on market.
Right.
Or, average inventory. You get north of 800,000. And obviously the demographic for those homes shrinks a bit because of how expensive they are.
Right.
But yeah, overall, market is great. As you guys know, interest rates are incredible. I had just refinanced actually, a week and a half ago with John.
Yep.
And interest rates are fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to get, rates are always a topic. The first thing people are saying, what's your rate? What's your rate? What's your APR? What's the rate?
All righty, welcome back. Plenty of energy in this room. 9:45. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. You can give us a call all day long. I know Sarah's there. 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage bank. That's 1-800-569-7283. Again, I mentioned keep it here on 97.1. Pat Caputo in sports at 10 o'clock. 1 o'clock Red Wing hockey. Of course, the pregame a little bit before that. We still have lots to talk about. The last conversation. Let's go to Mike and we'll dive back into our ROI conversation. Yep. Hey, Mike, you got a question about mortgage refinancing from Ann Arbor. What's going on?
Yeah, so I'm paying about $1,000 a month in mortgage, and $500 is going to interest, and about $500 is going to principal. So if I refinance with these new low rates, what exactly would go to interest and what exactly would go to principal on a refinance?
That's a specific question with your specific details. And so truthfully, the answer is we would have to know what those details are. But when you start a new mortgage, even a shorter term...
I just told you, I'm paying about $1,000 a month.
Right.
How many
and
years?
$500 is going to principal,
right,
and about $500 is going to interest.
But that's because you've been in it for how long?
15, 20 years.
Right. So when you start a new mortgage, the majority of the money goes to interest and less goes to principal at the beginning of the mortgage. And the longer you are in it, it swings. Then all of a sudden you're about halfway point now. Mm-hmm. And then as you come to the end, it'll be almost all principal. That's why we ask these questions. So
what would be the initial
I would run
interest rate?
Well, hey, Mike, how about this? I mean, any of us I can go to the computer after work here and punch in an amortization chart on a 10-year for you. So if I punch in a 10-year, let's just use this for hypothetical. If I punch in a 10-year term on whatever your balance is, it's going to tell me right there. I'll send it to you. It'll say 120-month term, how many dollars goes to principal, how many dollars goes to interest. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense for you, you're a candidate to refinance. Sometimes it does work those numbers and sometimes it doesn't. What's that balance on the mortgage? Did you say 100? How much is your balance?
Now?
Yeah.
About 100,000, yeah.
Okay, so you know what? You left your number with us. This is more of a call where I just have to punch in an amortization chart and see what the numbers look like. And then we could compare the existing amortization chart you have with what maybe a new offer could be. But potentially, if you've been there for 15 years, potentially a 10-year fix could knock off some interest. Lisa, do you agree with that?
Yeah, knock off some interest and knock off 5 years of term if you're planning.
But the majority of the payment will be interest in the
beginning.
No, not for the 10-year though.
It's still in the very beginning.
Yeah.
It won't be half and half. But yes, it doesn't take long to get to that half and half point on the 10-year.
We've got to see the numbers. It's a great call, Mike. We just have to run the amortization chart for you and take a look at it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks for the call. Appreciate it. 248-539-9797. Hey, he's from Ann Arbor, man. He's supposed to know these things, right? All right, we'll keep that. We'll keep that next time. But 248-539-9797. Having a little fun here. Don't take it personally. Let's talk about ROI, return on investment. Yeah. This is some serious stuff. We had the call about the gentleman who wants to replace the carpet, hardwood floors. Jess, you said it yourself. 95% of the families out there, they don't want carpet anymore. No offense to the carpet guys, because a lot of families keep it upstairs. It's warmer.
In the bedroom.
Brand new carpet. Yeah, hey, salute to the carpet guys. Sell your carpet today. Because, yes, carpet's still got plenty of beautiful different styles, the shags, the flats, whatever it is. But it does get dirty over time, but it is a warm feeling. But Kev, you know more about this. ROI, you're a professional real estate agent. What money? We see sometimes people stressing over the stuff that doesn't make sense. You can change things in the future. But return on investments, the number one thing that came back last night in an article was the exterior of the house. The actual, you talked about the textiles, the stone veneers, or using the better siding, not the vinyl stuff, but the step up from that. These are the things that are really getting big returns on your dollar.
Oh, yeah. And we have people that call us a lot and say, hey, I'm considering putting a lot of money into my house. And, can you come over and take a look and let's talk that through? And we'll do that. We'll actually analyze a home for somebody and say, okay, if you do nothing to your home, this is the value. If you do this entire list to the home, this is now the value. Because what we don't want someone to do is put $1 in to get 50 cents out. And there's some things that you're going to do that's going to be the case. And there's the I want it value, right? It's the enjoyment value. And you want to enjoy your home. You want to be comfortable. You want to be happy in your home. And so there's, don't be scared to spend money in your home. Don't think that you have to get a really big ROI. But I can tell you, like you said, exterior, keeping your curb appeal up,
it's always been kitchens and
inside the home,
bathrooms, right?
kitchens and bathrooms is still where it's at. Things like hardwood floors do wonders.
I get this question all the time. Finished basement.
I think so.
I know it's a loaded question. That's why I asked.
It's a little bit of a loaded question. Generally speaking, a lot of buyers really want a finished basement.
Correct, but
it depends on your price point too.
Right. So say you spend. So this is what we get. I got a buyer. He wants to sell. Seller. I'm sorry. Wants to sell his house. I spent $50,000 on my basement. I paid XYZ for it, so now my house is worth $50,000 more. And I'm always like, that's not how it works with basements, right?
It's not.
It's one of those I want it.
Yeah,
items.
it's going to sell
do it because you want to live there.
It's
going
to sell your home faster.
Right.
You're going to get a little bit more, but it's probably more the 15 to 20,000 range is what you're going to get, kind of in general on appraisals. That's usually what I see. If it's a finished or unfinished, that's going to
and really
the difference
that's what
I
it's going
see.
to boil down to, because just a finished basement versus someone who puts in high-end Viking appliances and high-end textiles, it's still not. You are doing what you want for your home, for your enjoyment. It translates similarly into that finished basement.
And on the ROI, on the construction standpoint, when we're giving people advice on where to put their money, I tell people, don't be scared to put extra money into the flooring. Don't be scared to put extra money into the kitchen, because those are the things that if they go to someday sell it, that they're going to get a lot of their money back out of those upgrades. Because, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, some of those upgrades that people can do in their kitchen and flooring, in the grand scheme of their construction phase, that's a fairly nominal upgrade sometimes, right? It can cost some, but it's not that they're not going to get crushed on that kind of stuff.
Right, and it's the ideal time to do it is when you're building the house.
Oh,
you can always add the crown molding later. You can always
that's brilliant.
maybe upgrade the kids' bathroom upstairs, but try and focus on the main ingredients of the house from the outset.
Right. Yeah, you talk about the finished basements. Now you're talking about the difference between daylight windows and walkout basements. But the real killer is it's going to cost a few extra bucks even to put that egress window in. And again, a lot of things don't show up. Coming from someone who just spent over $7,000 on a crawl space. Yeah, you don't always get a bang for the buck, but it's a healthy crawl space now. And again, you gotta understand what you're doing and where that money's going to go. Just to throw a couple numbers out there, kitchen remodels, of course, still up there on the top, but also garage doors. You're talking about when
curb
the people
appeal.
the curb appeal.
Going back to that,
Your front door.
That's a great statistic. I didn't know that about the curb appeal. And in the last few months, we've had clients that have literally said the number one thing to me is, how does it look when I'm pulling up? And that's in any price range, and that's new. I haven't had. It doesn't matter if you are the first-time home buyer, the $500,000, the $800,000 buyer, and they're like, the curb appeal. I won't even look at the pictures on the interior if the exterior looks bland.
Right.
Which is really,
I've had someone say, I just don't want to pull up and see all door. They did not want a house where it's like, if the 3-car garages where it's like you have looks like a little front space and then all garage, or like if it's not side turn, don't bother show. I was like, okay. I have a side turn for that reason, but I thought I was crazy that I was the only one that felt that way. You know what I mean?
Smaller percentage of people that were looking for that.
Yeah, but now it's a big deal. People want it to look great from the front.
Yeah, the front door of the house.
Yeah,
that's
huge.
the very first impression. And I can tell you, some of the homes that I've had that have sold the absolute fastest is because somebody put a really cool front door.
Well, there's
or
my
even
shout
take
out.
the time to paint it. You don't want to replace it.
Yes.
Paint it. Nothing looks
clean
worse
it.
Yes.
Clean that front door.
Windows. Yes, I agree. It makes a
Yes.
huge difference.
All right, we'll sum that up. A big boost in resale. Definitely get that new, nice garage door. That can get you a few dollars that you didn't think of. Really, that curb appeal. So something out there for sellers, and something, as you mentioned, Jess, a little bit more and more is families don't want to be embarrassed when they're, they bring people to their
Pulling
home.
up, yeah.
And as a real estate agent, you saw those pictures online, and you're just driving to that house for the first time. You hear the stomach rumbling if it just doesn't look right.
Right.
So that's a sort of a good giveaway out there. Shout out to Architectural Door and Millwork. They do a lot of front doors. So there you go. If you need a front door, get in touch with us. So summarizing the real estate return on investment, get with the professionals, right? Because your time frame also, we talked about time frame earlier, and it's all key. If you're going to put X amount of dollars in and you're going to sell in 6 months, maybe it's not always the best idea.
It's
You
not
gotta really
always.
figure it out.
You may want to put that investment into your next home. You may want to go ahead and just sell your home as is because, again, we don't want you to put $1 in to get 60 cents out. Just keep that dollar for your next home. Make
Someone
some
might not
upgrades
like
with your builder.
Someone might not like your taste, right, Kev?
Exactly.
I'm not for
serious.
everybody.
Yeah.
I'm not for everybody. All right. Hey,
Good for us, Harvey.
you guys, that music says that's it for us. All right. Jim, can you help me with your last name here?
Polyzois.
Jim Palazois from Wolverine Building. Jim, you're an awesome guy. Thank you very much for coming in. I really appreciate it. These guys are custom builders, custom communities. You got to hook up with Kevin and Jessica, get you all set up.
Yeah, give us a shout. We'd love to talk through all their communities and the things they got coming up if you're interested.
Downtown Rochester Hills. All right, Stewart Team Real Estate Partners. There they are, downtown Rochester. Really appreciate you guys coming in. All right, we got to wrap it up here. For Lisa Lawson, I'm Harvey Free. Keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. We'll catch you next Saturday.